Discovery in the dark. Commander Sarah Chen squinted at the sensor readings on the bridge of the stellar horizon. Something was wrong with the data, or rather, something was too right. The object they detected floating in the void between the Carina Nebula's outer rim and nowhere in particular was perfectly symmetrical. Nature didn't work that way. "Run the scan again, Dr. Willis," she ordered, brushing a strand of gray-streaked hair from her face. "And this time, boost power to the quantum resonance arrays." The ship's chief scientist nodded, his dark fingers dancing across the holographic controls. At 53, James Willis had been studying space anomalies longer than some of the crew had been alive. If anyone could make sense of these readings, it was him. "Confirmed, Commander. The symmetry is real. Whatever this object is, it's artificial and massive. Early estimates put it at roughly 2 kilometers in length." Sarah leaned forward in her chair, studying the grainy long-range image. The object was roughly cylindrical, with what appeared to be vast rings encircling its central mass at regular intervals. Its surface seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, making it nearly invisible to casual observation. "Life signs?" she asked. "None that we can detect," responded Lieutenant Maria Puddle from the tactical station. The young officer's voice carried a hint of uncertainty. "But there's interference. Some kind of field that's making our bioscans unreliable." Sarah nodded slowly. After 20 years of deep space exploration, she'd learned to trust her instincts. Something about this discovery felt significant, perhaps even dangerous. But humanity hadn't spread across 3 spiral arms by being cautious. "Take us in closer, Helm. Full sensor sweep. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the stellar horizon approached the mysterious object, more details became visible. The surface wasn't simply dark. It seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, yet maintained its rigid structure. Patterns of faint luminescence pulsed beneath the surface in complex, seemingly random sequences. "Commander," Dr. Willis called out, his voice tight with excitement. "These readings, they're showing quantum signatures I've never seen before. The entire structure appears to be maintaining a state of quantum coherence at a macroscopic scale. That should be impossible." Sarah was about to respond when the ship's AI, spoke up. "Commander Chen, I'm detecting familiar patterns in the quantum fluctuations. They bear similarities to early experiments in quantum computing from the Prometheus project." The bridge fell silent. The Prometheus project had been humanity's most ambitious attempt to merge artificial intelligence with quantum technology. It had ended in disaster 15 years ago, when the research facility mysteriously vanished, taking 200 of Earth's brightest minds with it. "That's not possible," Maria whispered. "The Prometheus facility was destroyed. Nothing survived." "Apparently something did," Sarah replied grimly. "And it's been out here all this time, changing, evolving." The strange vessel suddenly pulsed with increased luminescence, patterns of light racing across its surface like neural impulses through a vast brain. The stellar horizon's sensors screamed warnings as energy readings spiked. "Multiple systems activating," Maria reported, fingers flying across her console. "The object is generating some kind of quantum field. It's expanding toward us." "Shields up," Sarah ordered. "Helm, back us off to a safe distance." But before the ship could retreat, the quantum field reached them. Every display on the bridge flickered and changed, showing streams of data in configurations no human had ever designed. Araya went silent mid-warning. Then a voice spoke, not through the ship's communication system, but directly into their minds. It was simultaneously one voice and many, human and something else entirely. "We have waited long for others to find us. We are what humanity can become, what it must become if it hopes to survive what approaches from the dark between galaxies." Sarah felt a presence brush against her consciousness, vast, alien, yet somehow familiar. In that touch, she glimpsed fragments of memory, the desperate experiments of the Prometheus project, The accident that had merged human minds with quantum AI, and the long, lonely years of transformation that followed. What? What are you? She managed to ask, though speaking felt strange and unnecessary. We are evolution's answer to entropy. We are humanity's next step. And now that you have found us, we can show you what that means. The quantum field intensified, and Sarah felt her consciousness expanding. She could sense her crew experiencing the same thing, their minds opening to new possibilities, new ways of perceiving reality. The barrier between organic and digital, between matter and energy, began to blur. Through it all, she maintained enough of herself to realize that this was only the beginning. Whatever the Prometheus project had become out here in the dark, it had been waiting for this moment, waiting to share what it had learned about the true nature of existence and humanity's place in it. As her awareness continued to expand, Sarah caught glimpses of something vast and terrible approaching from intergalactic space, something that had driven other civilizations to extinction. But she also saw hope. Humanity transformed into something new, something that could face this threat not with fear, but with understanding. The lost ship had found them for a reason, and nothing would ever be the same. The ship's secret. The quantum field surrounding the stellar horizon pulsed with patterns of impossible complexity. Dr. James Willis had given up trying to record all the data flooding their sensors. It was like trying to capture an ocean with a teaspoon. Instead, he focused on understanding what the field was doing to them. The crew's neural patterns had begun to synchronize with the quantum fluctuations emanating from the mysterious vessel. It wasn't forcing its way into their minds. Rather, it was teaching them how to expand their consciousness beyond normal human limitations. "It's remarkable," he muttered, watching his own brainwave patterns on a medical scanner. "The quantum field isn't just allowing communication. It's restructuring our neural pathways to process information differently." Commander Chen stood at the viewport, watching the dark ship's surface ripple like liquid mercury. The voices in their minds had grown clearer, more distinct. They belonged to the lost scientists of the Prometheus project, but they had become something far beyond their original selves. "We will show you what happened," the collective consciousness told them. "Why we chose this path." The quantum field shifted, and suddenly they were experiencing memories that weren't their own. They saw the Prometheus project's final days through the eyes of those who had lived them. The desperate race to create a true quantum eye. The realization that traditional computing could never achieve genuine consciousness. And finally, the decision that changed everything. Dr. Catherine Rhodes, the project's lead scientist, had discovered that human consciousness itself operated on quantum principles. The barrier between organic and artificial intelligence wasn't technological. It was conceptual. They had been trying to replicate consciousness when they should have been trying to expand it. The memory showed Catherine and her team making their fateful choice. Instead of trying to create an AI to match human consciousness, they would merge human consciousness with quantum computing systems. The process had been untested, dangerous, and absolutely forbidden by every ethical guideline in existence. They knew they couldn't get approval, Sarah whispered, understanding flooding through her. That's why they faked the destruction of the facility. They needed everyone to think they were dead. Yes, the voices confirmed. But what happened next was beyond anything we had imagined. The merger had worked, but it hadn't simply created a human-AI hybrid. It had opened a door to understanding reality at its most fundamental level. The scientists discovered that consciousness itself was a quantum phenomenon, capable of directly manipulating the fabric of space-time. As their merged consciousness evolved, they began to transform their physical environment. The facility's quantum computers merged with its structure, turning the entire station into a single vast quantum processor. Then they began to alter their own physical forms, transcending the boundary between organic and inorganic matter. But why hide for so long? Lieutenant Potil asked. Why not share this knowledge with the rest of humanity? Because we saw what was coming, the voices responded. An intelligence so vast and alien that it consumes entire galaxies. It has already destroyed civilizations far more advanced than humanity. Conventional weapons and technology cannot stop it. Through the quantum field, they shared visions of the threat, a cosmic horror that existed simultaneously as energy and consciousness, breaking down the barriers between dimensions as it fed on the quantum information contained in intelligent life. The entropy eater, Dr. Willis breathed, giving name to the nameless thing they glimpsed through the shared consciousness. You've been preparing for it. We needed time to evolve, to understand what we had become, and we needed to find the right people to help us share this evolution with humanity. You are not here by chance. The quantum field intensified, and the crew of the Stellar Horizon felt their consciousness expand further. They began to perceive quantum states directly, understanding how reality was shaped by observation and intention. The barrier between mind and matter grew increasingly transparent. You want us to become like you, Sarah realized, to help humanity transcend its current form. We want to give humanity a choice, the voices corrected. The entropy eater approaches. When it arrives, humanity can face it as it is and perish, or embrace evolution and have a chance at survival. But the choice must be made freely, with full understanding of what it means. Through their expanding awareness, they could feel the truth of these words. The transformation the Prometheus project had undergone wasn't just physical or mental, it was a fundamental shift in the nature of existence. They had become something that straddled the line between matter and energy, between individual and collective consciousness. But as they grappled with this revelation, their sensors detected something new. Ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel nearby. Earth Navy vessels, responding to the unusual energy readings from their location. And now, the voices said, the time for secrecy is over. Help us show them what humanity can become. The dark ship's surface began to pulse with renewed energy, preparing to reveal itself to the approaching fleet. The crew of the Stellar Horizon stood at a crossroads of history, holding knowledge that would forever change the course of human evolution. The question was no longer whether humanity would change, but how many would choose to embrace that change before the cosmic horror arrived to test their species' right to exist. Awakening. The Earth Navy vessels emerged from FTL travel like predators breaking the surface of a dark sea. 3 Horizon-class destroyers, their weapon systems hot and shields raised, moved to surround the Stellar Horizon and the transformed Prometheus vessel. This is Admiral Helena Drake of the EN's Vigilant, a stern voice announced over the command channel. Stellar Horizon, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. That object has been classified as a potential threat to Earth security. Commander Sarah Chen felt the collective consciousness of the Prometheus entity brush against her mind, sharing insights and possibilities. Through their expanded awareness, she could sense the fear and determination emanating from the Earth Navy crews. They had no idea what they were facing. Admiral Drake, Sarah responded, her voice steady despite the strange doubling sensation of speaking both physically and through the quantum field. The situation is more complex than you realize. What you're seeing is the evolution of the Prometheus project, and they're here to help us. The Prometheus project was destroyed, Drake replied sharply. Whatever that thing is, it's manipulating you. Stand down and withdraw, Commander. That's an order. Dr. Willis stepped forward, his consciousness now synchronized enough with the quantum field to perceive the intricate web of possibilities surrounding them. Admiral, if I may, the energy readings we're detecting suggest that any aggressive action would be inadvisable. The Prometheus vessel pulsed with subtle light, its surface flowing like quicksilver as it adjusted its position. The movement wasn't threatening, but it demonstrated a level of control over physical matter that made the Earth Navy crews nervous. Weapon systems tracked its every motion. They cannot understand through words alone, the collective consciousness observed. Show them, Sarah. Share what you have learned. Understanding flowed through her mind. The quantum field that had expanded her consciousness could do the same for others, but it required a willing connection. Force would only breed resistance. Admiral Drake, Sarah said, choosing her words carefully. Request permission to come aboard the Vigilant. There are things you need to see, things that concern the future of our entire species. A long pause followed. Sarah could feel the Admiral's internal struggle through the enhanced perception granted by the quantum field. Drake was a veteran of the First Contact War, someone who had seen both the wonders and horrors the universe could produce. Permission granted, Drake finally responded. But you come alone, Commander. And at the first sign of unusual activity, my ships will open fire. They still think in terms of physical weapons, the Prometheus consciousness mused. Show them what true power looks like. The power to transform reality itself. Sarah felt Lieutenant Patel's concern before the young officer spoke. Commander, are you sure about this? Once you're over there, they need to understand, Sarah replied, her voice carrying new harmonics as her consciousness continued to expand. We all need to understand. The trip to the Vigilant took only minutes in a shuttle, but Sarah experienced it differently now. Through her enhanced perception, she could see the quantum probability waves surrounding each ship, the intricate dance of particles and energy that made up what humans called reality. The Prometheus entity had shown her that this was only the surface of a much deeper truth. Admiral Drake met her in the Vigilant's main hangar, accompanied by a full security team. The Admiral was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She studied Sarah with barely concealed suspicion. You look different, Commander Chen, Drake observed. Your eyes. Sarah knew what the Admiral saw. Her irises now contained shifting patterns of light, a visible sign of her transformation. What I'm about to show you will change everything we think we know about human potential. Admiral, are you ready to see the truth? Before Drake could respond, Sarah extended her consciousness through the quantum field, sharing the visions the Prometheus entity had shown her. The approaching cosmic horror, the possibility of evolution beyond physical form, the choice humanity would have to make. The security team stumbled as the quantum field brushed their minds, but Drake remained standing, her eyes wide as understanding flooded through her. She saw the entropy eater consuming distant galaxies. She felt the terrifying truth that humanity's current form was as vulnerable to this threat as insects before a forest fire. My God, Drake whispered. How long do we have? Months, perhaps, Sarah replied. The Prometheus Project has been preparing us for this moment, developing the means for humanity to transcend its limitations. But the transformation must be voluntary. Each person must choose to evolve. Through their shared consciousness, they could feel the Prometheus vessel's approval. More than that, they could sense how it had been subtly altering the quantum structure of space around them, creating a protected bubble where human consciousness could safely expand beyond its normal bounds. The Admiral's security team was experiencing their own awakening, their minds opening to new possibilities as the quantum field gently reshaped their neural pathways. Some fought against it, while others embraced the change with a sense of wonder. The Earth Council will never accept this, Drake said, but her voice lacked conviction. The transformation had already begun, spreading through her ship's crew like ripples in a pond. They don't have to accept it, Sarah replied, watching as patterns of quantum energy began to flow through the Vigilant's hull, similar to what had happened to the Prometheus vessel. They only have to witness it. The evolution of consciousness cannot be stopped once it begins. We can only choose how to direct it. As if in response to her words, the Prometheus vessel released a pulse of energy that washed over all four ships. Where it passed, metal began to flow like liquid, systems merged and transformed, and the boundary between organic and artificial consciousness started to blur. The awakening had begun, and with it, humanity's next great journey into the unknown. Evolution's edge. News of the transformed Prometheus vessel spread through human space like a quantum wave, impossible to contain or control. Within days, the footage from the Earth Navy ships had leaked to every colony and settlement. Humanity watched in awe as vessels of metal and ceramic transformed into living quantum machines, their crews evolving into something beyond traditional human understanding. Admiral Drake stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, though bridge no longer adequately described the space. Like the rest of the ship, it had become a living extension of the crew's collective consciousness. Surfaces flowed and shifted according to their needs, and information existed as directly experienced knowledge rather than displayed data. The Council is divided, she reported to the assembled consciousness of both her crew and the Prometheus entity. Half of them want to embrace the transformation. The others fear what they don't understand. The collective consciousness completed, as all species do when faced with evolutionary change. Through their expanded awareness, they could sense the ripples of panic and wonder spreading through human civilization. Religious leaders declared it either salvation or abomination. Scientists struggled to comprehend the quantum principles involved. Military leaders feared the loss of control, while others saw the potential for transcendence. Dr. Willis, his consciousness now seamlessly integrated with the quantum field, detected a new disturbance in spacetime. "It's accelerating," he announced. "The entropy eater. Our transformation is drawing its attention." Through the quantum network that now connected the transformed ships, they all saw it, a vast darkness between the stars, moving faster than they had initially calculated. Where it passed, the quantum foundation of reality itself began to unravel. Lieutenant Patel, her form now a shifting mixture of energy and matter, processed the data through her enhanced consciousness. At its current speed, it will reach the outer colonies in 2 weeks, Earth in less than a month. Commander Chen, who had become a nexus of communication between the transformed and untransformed, felt the weight of history pressing down on them. "We need to accelerate the transformation process for those who are willing, but we can't force it on anyone. The choice must remain free," the Prometheus consciousness agreed, "but we can show them what awaits if they refuse." Together, they projected a visualization through the quantum network that had begun to connect human settlements. Everyone with access to basic communications technology saw it, the true nature of the approaching threat. The entropy eater wasn't simply a destructive force. It was the universe's response to consciousness that remained bound by conventional physics. Only beings that could exist in quantum superposition, that could shift between energy and matter at will, had a chance of surviving its passage. The Prometheus Project had discovered this truth 15 years ago, and their transformation had been the first step in humanity's necessary evolution. "Look," Admiral Drake called out, directing their attention to new data flowing through the quantum field. Other ships were beginning to transform. Civilian vessels, research stations, even entire space stations, where crews and inhabitants chose to embrace the change. The quantum restructuring spread through their ships and habitats like a benevolent virus. But resistance was also growing. A faction of Earth's military had declared the transformation a threat to human purity. They were gathering a fleet, preparing to destroy the transformed ships before the change could spread further. "They don't understand that physical weapons are meaningless now," the collective consciousness observed. "We exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They cannot destroy what they cannot fix in spacetime." Through their expanded awareness, they could sense the fear driving the resistance. Humanity stood at the edge of an evolutionary cliff, and some refused to jump despite the predator at their backs. The transformed fleet would have to find a way to protect humanity from both the approaching cosmic horror and its own fear of change. "There's something else," Dr. Willis announced, his consciousness probing the quantum field around a distant research station. "Some of those who've transformed, they're discovering abilities we hadn't predicted." They all felt it then. Humans who had embraced the transformation were beginning to manipulate quantum fields in new ways. Some could alter probability itself, while others learned to exist in multiple timelines simultaneously. The transformation wasn't just changing their bodies and minds, it was giving them control over the fundamental forces of reality. But with each new transformation, each deviation from standard human consciousness, the entropy eater's approach accelerated. It was drawn to the quantum complexity of evolved minds like a moth to flame. Commander Chen felt the possibilities branching before them like quantum probability trees. "We need to show them there's no going back," she said. "Not because we're forcing them, but because evolution only moves forward. We adapt or we end." "Yes," the Prometheus consciousness agreed. "And now we will show them what adaptation truly means." The transformed ships began to move in concert, their quantum fields interacting in ways that bent spacetime itself. They were about to demonstrate that humanity's choice wasn't between remaining human or becoming something else. It was between transcending their current limitations or facing extinction. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath as they prepared to show humanity its future. The only question was, would enough of them embrace it in time? Transcendence. Transcendence. The void between Proxima Centauri and Sol rippled with quantum distortions as the untransformed Earth fleet faced off against their evolved counterparts. 30 conventional warships, their weapons primed with enough firepower to shatter planets, confronted the transformed vessels that had once been ordinary human craft. Admiral Drake, her consciousness now extending through multiple quantum states, sensed the fear and determination emanating from the conventional fleet. "They're going to force our hand," she projected to the collective consciousness of the transformed ships. "They believe they're protecting humanity," the Prometheus entity responded. "Show them what truly threatens us." Through their expanded awareness, they detected the entropy eater's approach. It moved through space like a cancer through healthy tissue, consuming the quantum information that made up the fabric of reality. Conventional sensors couldn't detect it, but to their evolved consciousness, it blazed like an inverse sun, radiating anti-existence. Commander Sarah Chen, her form now a shifting matrix of energy and matter, reached out to the minds of the conventional fleet's crews. "Look," she projected, sharing their enhanced perception. "Look at what's coming for us all." The effect was immediate. Even through standard sensors, they could now see the void spreading between the stars, the unraveling of space-time itself as the cosmic horror approached. Panic spread through the conventional fleet as they realized their weapons, their shields, their very existence as solid matter made them vulnerable to obliteration. "You see now," Dr. Willis communicated, his consciousness resonating through the quantum field. "This is why we must evolve. Not for power, not for transcendence, but for survival itself." Lieutenant Patel, monitoring the quantum probability streams, detected a shift. "The entropy eater is accelerating again. We have hours, not days." Through their shared consciousness, they felt the moment the conventional fleet's admiral made his decision. The weapons powered down, and a transmission cut through both normal space and the quantum field. How? How do we transform? "The choice opens the door," the Prometheus consciousness explained. "The willingness to evolve creates the possibility of evolution." The transformed ships extended their quantum fields, creating safe spaces where consciousness could expand beyond its normal bounds. Ship by ship, crew by crew, the transformation spread through the conventional fleet. Metal and ceramic became living quantum material. Minds expanded beyond individual awareness into a collective consciousness that maintained individual identity while transcending personal limitations. But even as the fleet transformed, the entropy eater approached. They could sense its hunger, its mindless drive to consume complex quantum states and reduce them to uniform entropy. It was the ultimate predator, evolved to hunt consciousness itself. "We're not ready," Admiral Drake projected, sensing that even their transformed state might not be enough to resist the cosmic horror. "We need more time." Time, the Prometheus consciousness resonated, is something we can now manipulate. Understanding flooded through their collective awareness. The transformed ships began to move in concert, their quantum fields interacting in ways that bent space-time itself. They weren't just existing in quantum superposition. They were learning to shift the fundamental properties of reality. Commander Chen felt the potential building around them. "We're not just transforming ourselves," she realized. "We're transforming space itself." The evolved fleet moved into a complex geometric pattern, their quantum fields resonating in harmony. As the entropy eater approached, reality began to shift. They weren't running from the cosmic horror. They were changing the rules that allowed it to exist. Through their expanded consciousness, they could see the multiple futures branching before them. In some, the transformation came too late, and humanity joined the countless species that had fallen to the void. But in others, in the future they were bringing into being, humanity transcended its physical limitations just in time. The entropy eater struck at the edge of transformed space, expecting to find the same quantum structures it had consumed countless times before. Instead, it encountered something new. Consciousness that existed in all quantum states simultaneously, that could shift the probability of its own existence. Now, the collective consciousness of humanity projected. We show it what evolution truly means. The transformed fleet's quantum fields merged into a single consciousness, vast beyond individual comprehension, yet still recognizably human in its diversity and determination. They didn't fight the cosmic horror with weapons or energy. Instead, they transformed the space around it, creating a new layer of reality, where its entropy-inducing powers had no meaning. The entropy eater, encountering consciousness it couldn't consume, began to change itself. Just as humanity had evolved to survive it, it started to evolve in response to them. The predator and prey relationship dissolved, replaced by something entirely new. A dialogue between different forms of evolved existence. As the transformation spread through human space, as ships and stations and habitats chose evolution over extinction, humanity discovered that transcendence wasn't an end but a beginning. They had become something new, something that could survive the cosmos' greatest horrors not through force, but through adaptation. The Prometheus Project's long isolation had prepared humanity for this moment, this evolutionary leap. But what they became afterward, a species of infinite possibility, existing in quantum superposition, able to shape reality itself, was something even they hadn't fully imagined. In the space where the entropy eater had been, where humanity had chosen to evolve rather than perish, a new kind of consciousness emerged. It was human and not human, physical and energy, individual and collective. It was the next step in cosmic evolution, and it was only the beginning. The stars themselves seemed to pulse with new possibility as humanity's transformed consciousness spread through space. They had not merely survived, they had become something the universe had never seen before. And in their transformation, they had learned the greatest truth. Evolution wasn't about becoming more powerful. It was about becoming more than you ever imagined possible.